Morning, beautiful. It's great to see you. I don't actually know if I need my hat on, but the minute I take it off, the sun will come out. Well, let's see, shall we? Maybe it won't. It's not nice squinting into the sun, so I'm going to put it on a rose, and the rose is gone, the rose stem, and stand out here because I've actually got hot walking up the hill and down again. So let me show you the garden, which is just exactly how it looks in autumn. This is early autumn now, it really is. And there's things that needed doing over the weekend which I didn't get done because I wasn't able to. I cut my finger, not badly at all, but it was the sort of thing where you don't want to go into the garden and get grot in it. So, there's the finger, the thumb actually. So everything is just looking a bit long and unkempt, and this is cilantro in flower. There are the leaves that you might recognise as the coriander that you eat. Good morning, beautiful beings. It's lovely to have you join me. And this is the slightly scruffy looking aucuba. That's because its leaves are a bit old, but it'll make more. And here's another cilantro, and look, it's got seeds all over the place. I may just have to pull that one out because I don't actually want an invasion of cilantro here. They'll go brown. I'll do it now. They'll go brown, and then there'll be stuff everywhere. And there's other things growing here that I like. So this is the autumn garden, and this is the beautiful phylloxera, which I enjoy so much because of its autumn foliage. And behind that you can see we've still got a few fuchsias. Morning, Jocelyn. Recognise your beautiful shot of Banff, I think you told me. And we have late roses. This is a real sweetie, look at that. Oh, come on. There we go. Got sharp focus now. You've got raindrops. It did rain overnight, which is lovely. And we have the willow gentian. And it's interesting, I'm starting to think that I need to divide this plant, or risk losing it, because I think that foliage is red because that part of the plant is unwell. So this is what happens when things get old. They get woody in the middle, and then you can have disease set in. But, there's plenty of it that's healthy, so I've got to do that. This is a fabulous thing, the willow gentian. Presumably it's called the willow gentian because of its leaves, which are reminiscent of willow leaves. But the flowers are glorious. And we have some late feverfew, which is a kind of chamomile. I don't think you make tea with this one, though. Oh, Willow, it's you. It's lovely to see you. Welcome, welcome. And we've still got... I've got to walk in here. We've still got flowers on the leucalia, which is wonderful because it lasts for so long. Look, there's more up the back. It's just glorious. They're big flower heads, and they keep going for a long time. I mean, you can see they're aging, but, here we go. They smell good too. And of course we've got Japanese anemones everywhere, and they fall over. And yes, the lawn is long. Good morning, Ibrahim. It's lovely to have you in my garden. And the spiderwort's still going. I had better cut it down because see these seed pods. Come on, these seed pods are still green, but not for long. And as you can see, I've got lots of babies there, so I don't need another year's worth of babies. Oh look, this is something I really enjoy, which we don't normally stop to see. I'm going to try and get this organised. There we go. You don't normally stop and look at grass. And of course, if I bang it, well, you can't really see. There are clouds of pollen that come off those big stamens. That's what grass does. But isn't it beautiful? I really enjoy grass. It's one of the reasons why I like letting my lawns get rather long in summer. And there's my hat, because you get grass. Now, here we have the nerines, and they're fabulous. And if I stand back, you can see it's a huge explosion of flowers every year now. There's actually another clump there, and they make a massive clump. But it's yet to flower because I moved it only a year or so ago, and they take a while to settle in. So this is fabulous, and you have to imagine a beautiful sweet scent. Oh look, we've got a moth at home in this one. So little hidey hole for something that's alive. I don't know what sort of moth that is, so don't ask, but it's quite beautiful, and it's not one that I'm used to seeing. See, it's got a sort of like a shark's fin on the back of its wings. That's not so usual. Not for me anyway. I'm no moth expert. Oh look, a single red rose. This is why I like this particular plant so much, because it makes these beautiful roses. They're perfectly shaped. I don't know the name of the rose, but I enjoy it when it does this. So I'm just going to get into today's topic, and today's topic is really about not letting your pain become your identity, because that happens to a lot of people. Because, you know, back in the 60s, when Sigmund Freud just sort of figured out about psychotherapy and people started getting their heads read. Hi, Kathy! And, you know, that whole thing of analysing your memories and trying to find the reason why you felt the way you do, because the idea was that if you understood why you felt the way you did... Kathy, good morning! I think I just said that, but I'm so distracted that you get 2 greetings. Good morning. And good morning, everybody that I don't know who you are. It's lovely to have you here. So, you know, and that was, 60 years ago now, right? So it was a big change in thinking, the idea that if you could think about what you've been thinking about and your memories and your history, that you might gain some understanding of who you are and why you felt the way you were. The problem with that is that after a while, people realised it didn't really seem to change anything. And we move along and things evolve. And, you know, the New Age movement is the next kind of really big thing that happened, actually. Oh, gee, my grasp of history, someone's going to say, are you kidding, Maddie? Anyway, this is just what's coming into my head. The New Age movement, right? And again, you have this kind of, it's still analysis, but now there's energy work and there's a whole focus on there's dense energy, there's something stuck, there's a block, and we have to clear it and release it, and then the problem will go away. And quite true, particularly in the physical body, there are energy blocks, and when the energy flows, it heals, you know, and enough said. I'm not saying any of that's bad. I'm not saying talk therapy is bad either. But these days, and this is why I put controversy alert on this post, you know, there are people who... they dive into the darkness and they believe that it's necessary to go into the pain, into the shadow, into the difficulty, and you go through that and you experience it and you learn something from it and you grow from it, and it becomes who they are. It becomes their identity, that this is how I live my life. I'm overcoming my pain. I'm a survivor. I'm a warrior. I'm all of those things, and there's all of this, you know. And I want to talk about why I just can't do that or subscribe to that. And not to say that those people are wrong. Just to say that for me, that's not what I would ever want to do. The reason why is based in neuroscience, and it's because of what I've learned studying my inspiration, Dr. Joe Dispenza's work. You see, I understand, and this is a fact, okay? This is not supposition or anything, it's fact. That when you recall the memory of a difficult experience, or you even make up a story inside your head of something that's painful, with the memory of the painful experience, when you fire that memory up, it becomes real to you, which we're all kind of familiar of. You know, you remember when your boyfriend dumped you, or when your parent told you off, or you had an embarrassing experience at school, or whatever it was. You remember that, and it's like, oh, God, it's like I'm still there. Now, do you know why it's like you're still there? It's like you're still there because at the time when that thing first happened, it was emotionally charged enough that your brain perked up and paid attention because something that happened outside of you changed how you felt inside of you. And, you know, for example, if you're a caveman and a lion bites you, you're going to pay attention to that, right? So, painful experience, the brain pays attention and it records it, and it actually keeps the records in patterns of synaptic connections in your brain, and it is a neurochemical process that happens for you to form a long-term memory. I think that's all I need to say. And when you remember that memory, the same chemistry that fired up the first time it happened actually happens all over again. And you know, well, who cares? I mean, there's chemistry in my brain, so what? What I didn't understand until I learned it more recently, is that when you fire a thought, the thought goes from neuron to neuron, and there's something that's got to help it jump across the gap between one neuron and the other, because they don't actually touch. There's a tiny little gap called the synaptic cleft. And the thing that helps to get the signal from neuron to neuron is a neurotransmitter. And there are many, 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 many different sorts of neurotransmitters. So the question that you might eventually come to is, how on earth does the neuron know which neurotransmitter to use to get the message across the synaptic cleft? So what happens is that it turns out that our thoughts are not all the same. So who knew? No surprise, no shit Sherlock. And how they differ is in their frequency. So sadness has one kind of frequency, joy has another kind of frequency, anger has another kind of frequency, desperation has another kind of frequency, shame has another kind of frequency. They've all got a different frequency, and it can be measured, by the way. And depending upon the kind of your thought, and therefore its frequency, depends on what sort of neurotransmitters you get. So what? That's in the brain. Who cares? Those neurotransmitters affect chemical centers in your brain which send signals to your body so that you are going to feel exactly how you've just been thinking. That is what happens. And so if you bring back the memory of something painful that happened to you 23 and a half years ago, and you think about it and you go, that you feel is because you fired the same things and the same chemistry and the same pain that you felt on that day, you are feeling now. You have just put your body back 23 and a half years. And if you make up a scenario in your mind because you've got a diagnosis or you've just been laid off from your job or whatever it is, and you make up a scenario in your mind based upon how you think things are going to be, and you start anticipating the worst, and there's fear going on, and there's anxiety, or there's anger, or there's resentment, or whatever it is, and you are thinking and feeling thoughts of that frequency, then you're going to have the chemistry that goes with those thoughts, and it's pouring into your body, and you feel pretty crappy, feel pretty quickly. And so every thought is directly related to an experience in our bodies. And it's quick, it's seconds. I think it's seconds to minutes, depends, it depends how long it takes the thought to fire up. If the thought is powerful, it's rapid, And so you take that understanding, and this is scientific fact. It's happening in our brains, all of us now. You take that understanding and you think, oh, okay, so I'm supposed to dive into my pain. I'm supposed to really experience it and overcome it and be this warrior who is this wounded warrior person. And in that context, for me, that just is not a good idea. Because I'm putting all of my attention onto those neurosynaptic connections and that chemistry and that feeling, and it is, it becomes me. And I'm this wounded warrior, and I overcome it, but I feel my pain, and I'm in the shadow of it. And I just, no, I don't want to do that. Why would I do that to my body, to willfully give my body that chemical experience of whatever that pain is? It doesn't help. It actually reiterates whatever it is that you continually experience, thinking that by going through this traumatic experience, and by the way, I did this when I was 20 or 19, I was engaged to a young man who was actually abusive, and I didn't even know what that was, and I just thought that, I don't know what I thought. But the program I was running said, oh, well, you stick with people and you stay with them. And I remember weekend after weekend, people would ask me at work on Monday, how was your weekend? And I'd say, oh, it was worth it. Because it was like I'd made it through and we were still together, and it was crap and it was horrible and it was painful. But it was worth it because we hadn't broken up. That was how I was thinking. So I was this wounded frickin' warrior. Oh my God, that was exactly what I was doing. And it's just so, I conditioned my into stress and fear at an early age. And I'm breaking that conditioning now. Let me tell you, it's bloody hard. Because I did it for a long time. So, this thing of, you got to learn through pain, you got to learn through trauma. It's that we need difficulty to teach us stuff. We can require difficulty or challenge to get our attention. Jen, good morning, sweetie. We can. If we're asleep, if we need to be woken up, yeah, we can need that. But we can get caught in the idea that the only way to evolve is to have pain so that we have something to run away from. So that we have a reason to, go, oh, God, that was awful. Now I've got to climb up the mountain and drag myself out of the mud again. And I just know. It may be where we start, but I don't believe it's where we should stay. I would rather take my attention off that painful stuff and start creating new synaptic connections in my brain about being happy, about being whole, about feeling abundant, about feeling healthy, about being in love with life, about finding it easy to feel safe in the world, about having supporters and collaborators and people that have the same passions as me or even more, and they want to add to what I'm doing and I want to add to what they're doing. I would rather make those neurological connections that are fueled by inspiration and hopefulness and, joy and expansion, and pay attention to those than the other ones. Because I want to condition my body to be used to feeling those feelings, not the other ones. This whole idea that you have to suffer to evolve, to me, is bullshit. It's just not true. However, sometimes it does take a really sharp kick in the ribs for us to wake up and start to evolve. After that, you've got to realise you don't have to keep waiting for the kick in the ribs to grow. You can become the creator. You can say, okay, that was crap. And it may have been crap for a long time, but it's not who I am. It's the connections in my brain and the chemistry that my body's gotten really used to feeling and being, because I feel it and I think, oh, well, this is how I feel. This must be who I am. No, but you're just really used to it. So you can become somebody else, and the way you start doing that is by thinking something different, which can be very, very difficult to do if your feelings are so overwhelming. You think, well, oh my God, I feel awful, and you want me to think something different, and you try thinking something different. It's like, oh, get real, this is bullshit. Come on, you want me to feel happy? Well, you might have been sad for 35 years. It could feel really wrong to even try to feel happy. And and I know what this is like, okay? I know what this is like. And you just have to make a decision if you understand that every time you continue to think and feel the same way, because it feels so natural and normal to you. Good morning! Holly, it's you! I finally remembered who that lovely little face is up on my screen. If it feels so natural and normal to you to be sad, it's not going to feel normal to you to feel happy. It really won't. And you might say, oh, well, if I get this or if this happens to me or if that comes into my life, then I'll be happy. And I guarantee if it does come into your life, you'll be happy for a little while, and then the novelty will wear off and you'll go back to being your sad self. because you haven't changed the architecture in your head, the neural trunks, these massive 8-laned highways that are dedicated to sickness or sadness or misery or depression or whatever it is, and building a superhighway in your head about something else, about feeling love, about feeling joy, about feeling happy with life, about loving people, about feeling safe with people, whatever it is. This is the thing. So, we can use this thing of, I've got to go into my trauma and I've got to go into my pain as a way to actually avoid change. Because change is uncomfortable. It's actually really hard to break the habit of being sad all the time. I know. Oh my God. No, the other reason I didn't do anything in the garden is because I was completely Mack-trucked yesterday, because I had a whole lot of old trauma shifting out of my body and I felt like shit. But I knew what was going on and I just stayed with it. I feel better today. It was not easy. But I did not go into it. I was actively, no, I cannot allow these thoughts, these painful, scary thoughts that are circling in my brain to run the show, because I know that this is the old me that I don't want to be anymore. No. So I understand it enough now. I've been through it enough to know the ropes when this happens. And this is the first time it's happened like this. It was really quite shocking and quite surprising. And my whole day was disrupted. We had to do things differently because I simply couldn't do what I used to do. Gee, doesn't it sound like what I was talking about on Friday? Your life is turned upside down because you need to stop being who you've been. And yesterday I had to do that. Because I just wasn't physically capable of doing what I normally do on a Sunday. So we did it differently. So yeah. Don't go into the story. The story means nothing. Overcome the emotions and choose what you want to feel instead. That's the bottom line. And I am reminded that it's Monday, so please, I have some wonderful questions that some of you have asked me. I'm going to get to those later this week. But I would love, if you have got a question that surfaced in the last little while, do write me, comment or send me a messenger. Let me know what your questions are, because the best lives come when you ask me questions. And the other thing I want to say, because it's Monday and notices time, is that remember I have a private coaching group, and it's a beautiful space. If you want to change your life, it's a monthly live, in person on Zoom, if that's, as live as we get these days. And there are weekly training videos, and I see the people in there changing their lives. And, they still go through shit, just like me. It's a very real space. Heather, good morning. And it's wonderful. So I'm just inviting you to take a look. Information, and, you can find the information in the bottom of this post if you haven't already looked and seen it before. Take a look now. Big love. I am going to see you tomorrow with bells on. Bye-bye.